Hello and welcome to the Excalibur podcast, the podcast following the production of the Welsh fantasy feature film Excalibur. My name is Dan Freeman. I'm the writer and director of Excalibur. On the other end is my other half, Dr. Dave Pulser, who is the production designer. And we've got an amazing special guest today. It's Tam Shoring, the much beloved litter picker and production sound mixer.
I've missed something there, haven't I?
So, Tam, I often feel on podcasts or shows, there's a kind of question at the beginning that says, sort of introduce yourself. And it sounds a bit like, justify your existence. So I thought I'd just cut to the quick. So justify your existence, Tam. What do you do?
You could fall into the trap of just telling your life story too, which would take obviously more than the pod's time.
We've got time and no viewers, so don't worry.
Readers.
I'm a humble sound recordist. Basically, I live in Wales. I live just outside Cardiff in a town called Penarth, which is a beautiful place to be. I'm very lucky, and I've been recording Welsh language shows since my early teens, and then I've got into other television programs. I spent many years working on Doctor Who, which was was bittersweet. I'm originally from London. We moved almost immediately after I was born to a lonely valley outside Carmarthen called the Coffee Valley, and it was a very lonely place to be, and quite a culture shock for us all. I was a baby. I didn't know what was going on particularly, but it was too much for my parents. They split up. She was missing London too much, and I ended up back in London with my mum. But Dad stayed in Wales, and he fell in love with the land and the people. So I would always come back to see him on my holidays. So I had a wonderful upbringing, really. Of London juxtaposed with wild West Wales. He ended up on the West Coast where he bought a small holding, and it was quite a.
He's still there, isn't he?
He is still there. He is. He's hanging on. He's hanging on in it. It's quite an incredible place he lives, and he's 80 now. I should add, he was also a sound recordist. He's not anymore. He's retired.
Really?
Yeah.
So what does a sound recordist do for those who don't know? I mean, it's not just like pointing the mic, and you're not the person holding the mic, are you? So,
well, I was for many years. I was a boom operator. That's the name of that role, and that's a really hard job. You've got to hold the microphone in the air all day, and it can be very heavy, especially in the wind and the rain. And you become fairly broken by it. Really, I was about the age of 40. I decided I should stop doing this. It's hurting too much. So that's when I became the sound recordist, but that involves buying lots of very, very expensive equipment. So it's a bit of a catch-22 in that you've got to stop being a boom operator, but it's hard to afford the equipment to buy because it is crazy, and it's an arms race. It keeps being your machine becomes obsolete before you know it, and it's not even obsolete. It just doesn't look as posh as everybody else's machines. So you get into this trap.
That is a huge thing, isn't it? It is because people are sort of furtive glances and judging you just entirely about what you've got. It's nothing to do with actually about what you are able to do. No. It's merely about what you've got around your neck.
Yep.
And it's crazy. It's crazy.
The size of your trolley and what you fit on it, and yeah, it is a bit frightening. But I'm happy now. I've finally paid off all the debt that I amassed trying to buy it, and I'm in not a bad place now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Can we have a full financial rundown of your situation as well?
Yeah. Do you want to know
so can you? Can you tell us what a boom operator? Why you have a boom operator?
Yes, I will. So my team consists ideally of 4 people. It'll be myself. I'll be standing these days. I think it's healthier to stand at my trolley, where I have my mixing desk into that comes all the feeds. So the boom operators' feeds, they're all on wireless these days. Sometimes they're on cables, but almost always wireless. And so they come into me via a radio frequency. I have receivers on my trolley, and then usually if an actor speaks, we have a radio microphone on them. So the booms have to be manned, usually by 2 people or women, obviously. Personed, and so I'll try to have 2 very capable people doing that job, and then we'll usually have a trainee also who will be learning about all of the things we do and making us coffee and looking after us, because it is a long old day up on those Welsh mountains. But yeah, so the boom operators obviously keep the microphones out of the shot. That's easier said than done sometimes, because I'm saying get closer. And they go, we can't get any closer. And then they're getting shot, and then they get shouted at, and then it's my fault, and I've got to say, sorry, it's me, it wasn't them. And then also they have to affix the radio mics onto the actors, and that's a whole job in itself. Because
why?
Well, I mean, when they work,
it's actors.
Yeah, actors. They were lovely people, generally.
Underneath.
So if you have to stick a cold hand up their blouse of somebody to re-stick a radio that's fallen off because it's the stickies come unstuck, you've got to have a good relationship. Basically, so that's one of the most important things for a sound department point of view, is getting on with everybody, especially the actors and the director.
Is it simply because you're so intimate with them?
Yeah, I mean, you to violate their personal space, and it's so that is tricky. And obviously, and then a well-affixed radio mic just sounds fantastic, sounds like a podcast. But you put wind hitting it, you put a leather tunic. I'm thinking about Excalibur type clothing,
the creak,
and metal armor, and amazing jewelry, and it just sounds like absolute horror. And then people hear that and freak out and look at us like we've really messed up. There's not a lot we can do about it. So avoiding all those problems is a hell of a job, and is required, unfortunately, these days. All post-production prefer to have everybody on radio mics all the time, and that takes up a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Why do they prefer? Just because it's out of vision? Or?
The radio, when they work, they're just superb. I mean, the mic's as close as it could possibly be. It's generally closer than the boom will be, so it's more usable, I suppose. They can push the levels. If someone's whispering, it really helps. If you're in an environment with a lot of ambient sound that we don't particularly want to hear, it's much easier to filter that away if you've got a really close signal. And it's all of those reasons. It helps.
And everything is the closer the better, I think, in that sort of situation, because you haven't got this. The amount that you can reduce between the actor and the mic, the better.
Yeah, it's always closer, better, isn't it?
There's nothing in there sort of interfering.
This is
because with these mics, I'm just sort of saying for our viewers and listeners that you want to get as close as possible to the thing that you're recording generally. Otherwise, you pick up everything else. So if you, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, Tam, but if you want to, for example, cut out somebody's speech, but not the sound of the environment, you need those things separate generally. And
Absolutely.
So you get that by being close to the actor, having the microphone close, and that means it records the actor's voice and not the ambience. So, for example, now if you're listening to my voice, hopefully you can't tell the sort of room I'm in, because the microphone should be picking up my voice and not the ambience and the reflections of the room. And that's partly a function of the type of microphone I'm using, but it's also the fact that I'm quite close to it.
Yeah, and it's in shot.
And it's in shot, it is, yeah. If you're watching this.
We're absolutely not allowed to be in shot ever, which is obvious. Yeah. But that's the challenge. That's always our challenge, that the radio mic needs to be hidden, but also not being hit by clothing and other things. So that's always a challenge. So you need to hide it within the costumes or the hair.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So could you give us your top tips for hiding microphones? Where have you? Where have
Oh,
you?
really get on. It's just our job really is to try and get on with almost everybody on set. We're pretty much the only department that really relies on almost every other department to be able to do a good job. So that is my number one thing, is that we have to, paramount is to get on with the costume department, have good relationships with them, because they can be our worst enemy and our very best friends. Similarly, camera teams. So the real advent of having radio mics on everyone came about by multi-camera shoots. So you'll have one camera obviously getting a nice big wide shot, and then the other one, to save time, because it's all about saving time, saves money, having a tighter shot. So as we just described, this microphone's really lovely and tight, but on the wide shot you can't have it there. So it's that constant battle about headroom. We always talk about headroom. As long as the boom can be as close as it can be for the tighter shot, please work around that. But camera teams and directors can often say no, get out of the right shot. So that's why we have to rely on so heavily on radio mics these days. When I was growing up, it wasn't such a thing. When I was a boom up in my early years, there were generally only single camera shoots. So for the wide shot, it sounded wide. It was fine. It matched. And if it was super wide and you wanted to use a dialogue for that wide shot, you could use the sound that we attained from the closer shots. But unfortunately, that isn't the case so much anymore. I love a single camera shoot. It's always it means the booms
So do I.
the booms can do what we want them to do without compromising where we're being asked to be.
Yeah.
And we get on with makeup as well, because if you do have to hide a hair, a mic and some hair, we have to ask them to be very kind to us. And pretty much every department that we have to work with, as we all do, don't we? But it seems like we have to get on. A lot of departments don't care so much. I'm not going to name names, but some don't.
Go on.
Some don't have to worry quite so much about upsetting others, shall we say, because they don't have to worry so much.
I was stunned with people who are grumpy or not enjoying it. I'm thinking, yeah, David, not naming any. I mean, I'm not. It's one of the two podcast hosts on this podcast. I'm not going to say which one. But no, I'm joking. He's a delight. But people who are genuinely difficult. You think most people who work on film, and more people who don't work on film, are desperate to work there. And I think we could. I could have been, serving chips or something. I mean, not that that's disrespectable, and I love chips, but I could have been doing something.
You'll be
shoveling
checking that
muck.
chips when you serve them.
Yeah.
When you next serve chips, check the number, and it's a minefield, isn't
it? Yeah, it's for me. But yeah, you could be doing things. Think, God. Yeah, some actors are so nice, and but some of them are sort of grumbling, thinking, "You've made it. Here we are. It's Christmas."
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. It's always struck me as well, and more so now than ever, because I think we're quite lucky that the industry's slowly getting back on its feet after COVID and the writers' strikes, and it feels like things are slowly. I've had a couple of horribly long periods with no work, and luckily now it's that things seem to be leveling out a bit more pleasantly, and yet when I've been on a film set just this week, the amount of moaning, I was like, oh my God, don't do it then. I mean, there's plenty of people. Yeah. But obviously, it's really hard, isn't it? When you're up a mountain, you've been there for 11 hours, and you're wet and cold, and you're exhausted, and you've got to go back there the next day. I think there is a place for a bit of moaning in our industry.
Yeah, but there's moaning,
and also, just to stick up for the moaners here, is that what it is? I feel, and it depends where
for them.
It's just about the perfection, and I mean, it depends where you are really on the ladder, doesn't it? But perfection, but at the right price, at the right budget as well. Because I realise absolutely about the economics of it, and that's when you approach something. Of course, you've got to have that in mind. You can't sort of be doing a fringe production and thinking that you're there on the RSC stage.
Oh, you can. It's not. I've seen it.
Well, yeah, and that pans out well, doesn't it? You know, so you just have to keep these things in mind.
I've got to put in this. That's in all seriousness. When you have a very expensive project like all film is, you are hinging most of it on one person, and that's the actor. So, you know, in that instant, they're trying to be naked in front of 50 people and with this intense pressure on them. And under those circumstances, even the sweet dispositioned me has, you know, sometimes you just find yourself being rude and snappy because you are under intense pressure. So, I mean, I did apologize, but you can get overwhelmed by the pressure, even famous actors, and sometimes especially famous actors, because there is a lot riding on them. That what you get if you get sort of a mix of famous actors and unknown actors. Often the relaxed ones are the unknown ones going, whoa, this is cool. I get to, you know, work with so-and-so. And so famous is going, do I look like a complete arsehole here? Oh God, this kid is better than, you know. So, you know, there's
an alternate pressures in this sort of thing. There really are, because you are, as you say, exposing yourself, first of all, kind of publicly. And also as an actor, when you're presenting that role, you are giving whatever you can with the knowledge that it will be your best take that people will see, and you'll get the adulation or whatever for later. However, the crew is going to see those 12 takes of it not so good, and you crumbling, and that's so the amount of pressure that the actors have, I think, like with any performance, it is kind of understandable why the prickliness or whatever, and as a director, that's why you always have a good AD, because really, here's the messenger, shoot him. You know, why you just sit in your chair and go again. You know, it's that it's interesting.
Yeah,
it is.
I was talking to our flight director, Kenan, and he's was working with a very famous actor on a film, and the actor slagged him off in front of the whole crew, going, "You're unprofessional, you're blah 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 blah," you know, sort of. And then afterwards was completely normal with him. And it's not personal. It's the pressure. But it's also, you know, when you, as a director, when you get actors there, you want them utterly relaxed. Like, and that usually, for me, that always comes with organisation. When they arrive, they know exactly where they're going. They're attended to in every way. And they don't have to think about anything. Where's the coffee? They know where everything is. Everything else except the acting's all they have to do. And they do the acting. We pick up the sound and the vision. However, what you then may complain about is someone who expects everyone to do everything for them and treat them like royalty, because that's what you have to do on a film. Because every down second or costs thousands.
Yeah. But to pulling the conversation back to radio mics, if you don't mind.
Thank God.
Please, can we talk more about...
Stop me talking.
No, not at all. It's very relevant. It was just the responsibility. Another one of my responsibilities is obviously the power I wield to hearing everything that they say once a radio mic is on them.
Yes.
And
Brilliant.
actors can get very, very paranoid about that, and that can be a battle, persuading them to have a radio mic on, because there's so many stories of them saying something they absolutely didn't want everybody to hear, and
We want to hear them all, starting now, please.
everybody hearing it, and
Go on, tell us.
I've seen an actor slag off the director, and he had his headphones on. He'd completely forgotten. And the sound recordist had stupidly left his mic faded up, which is an absolute massive faux pas. I'd never ever do that. I'll quickly check very professionally that it's as clean as it can be, and obviously I always tell the actors also, once you're on set, that your radio mic might be on, so just bear that in mind with what you're saying. And it was horrific. That particular that wasn't me. That wasn't my fault when the actor. I was a lowly trainee on that job, and it was horrible though. I mean, he was a very nice director. He was one of the best we'd had on that show, but for some reason, unbeknownst to me, the actor really didn't like him, and we all got stood down for about an hour while they quite literally screamed at each other. It was horrible.
Wow. Yeah.
So
but mind you, I've had that. An actor said to me once, "It feels like you're getting at me every time you direct." But he was very nice. He was a great actor, a wonderful, gentlemanly actor. But he just said, "No, I like to have something positive because every time you give me a direction, it feels like a personal criticism." It was a really interesting insight. But talking of the mics, can you just, for our viewers and listeners, explain the difference between a boom mic and a tie clip?
I had to do this with on one series of Doctor Who. We were Doctor Who was very bittersweet. It was quite wonderful in that we would travel, the galaxies and have such amazing adventures. And generally, a lot of we all did it. It was a very long job. It would basically the longest job I've ever done. Sometimes the longer series would be 9 months' work. So by the end of them, you were absolutely exhausted, but we were family. We'd done it. I did it for about 6 years in a row, and so the crew generally was the same, and we all became very close. But by the end of the series, we were on our knees and we were filming in this wood, and the director had done some things in America, and she, for some reason, hated the booms. So generally, on the rehearsal, me and the other boom up would be finding the edge of and the recorder say up a bit, yeah, you're good there. And that's what we did on the rehearsals, and she would see the booms in her rehearsals and then say, "Get your damn mics out of my shot. What are you even doing here anyway? What are you for? We don't have booms in America." And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was just, and I had to explain to her publicly on set, because she kept shouting at me, the actual difference between the boom microphone. Basically, they start a good boom mic would be just under £2,000. The one I was using that day was actually £3,500. So you can imagine the electronics and the craftsmanship and the absolute quality of that microphone compared to the £300-400 microphone, which is hidden under the Macintosh. That in that particular scene, when she was shouting at me, was wearing. I had to explain to her the difference of the quality of the sound on all of those facets, and she just could not understand that. I mean, I couldn't say it in any other way, really. Like we were struggling here. Well, that's why the boom is really important to get the good sound. And in this particular case, and it was perfect. Like listen to his radio mic. It's ruined. That's why I'm here. So that.
So what are the different uses of a boom mic? Under what circumstances do you use a boom mic, and what circumstances do you use I'm trying to think of the word, a tie clip mic, a lav mic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called a lav mic. Well, we'll almost always have both, and whichever is cleanest and sounds best will be used by post production. But I'll always have a boom in a room with the actor, as well as relying on the lav microphone.
Because it's the pickup, isn't it? That is the sort of what do you call it? The angle from the microphone that the microphone will pick up, isn't it?
Yeah, the boom will provide a very realistic representation of the sound in the room, and then in post-production they would probably almost always use the dialogue from this, and they'll mix it together so you won't notice them changing. That's always our aim, is to get the lav microphone sounding as clean and as boom-like as possible. But and so when you mix between them, it's indistinguishable.
And what is it about the quality? What's the quality? Is it just the quality of build about a boom mic that makes it better sounding, or what?
It's simply that. Yeah, they cost an awful lot more money, and they're not covered by clothing.
No.
But if you can stick a lav mic on the outside, the difference is remarkable. But obviously, we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, carry on.
No, you go on.
Oh no, all it was just sort of like what Tam was saying about the mix between the two, and in the post of being able to, you can kind of, if something is lacking, you can hope that the other mic has got the quality that it can push into the signal, so you can really try to generate the best sound possible with two tools in two, and it just gives a greater latitude and it's more realistic. It's warmer. It's more like being in the room with the whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of problems that also has, because there was I had a panicked phone call regarding the recording of a certain film critic, where they'd done they'd spent all day recording this, and they hadn't. I don't know how this happened, but the recording levels weren't checked. They weren't checked because all they'd got was pretty much some off the boom, and very minimal on the lav mic. And it had to go to broadcast. And they said, can you have a look at the levels? It's almost like just nothing on that.
Oh dear.
Because they couldn't afford to reshoot it, because it was in a location and crew and all that. So what can you do? I said, well, I don't know. Leave it with me. We'll have a go. And so you take all the I just doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled the WAVs, kept putting different equalizations on them to try to boost that signal, and you can do it. But my God, it's fretful when you look and you've got a 20 stacked WAV files just trying to pull some signal in. People don't realise just how important those mics and that role is.
Yeah.
But then people don't understand. If you're not in the industry, you watch what you want to enjoy, and sound is kind of incidental, because you're engaged with the focus of the visual, rather than sound is almost like a given somehow, and people don't.
But it
appreciate
isn't at all. It's
of course
absolutely
it's
it's more vital than the picture. I mean, particularly now, because people watch like this.
Yeah.
So there was a studio head who said that we should put scriptwriters should put all the exposition in the dialogue, because more information into the dialogue, because people aren't watching the screen anymore, which I completely disagree with. But
I know a lot of people that they just have stuff on in the background whilst they doom scroll through whatever.
Yeah,
it's quite very depressing, and also. Is that where we're at?
No.
I do have to pull you up though, as a fan of your show, your podcast, and I am a admitted fanboy. I've been binge listening over. I've been driving to and from Port Talbot for the last few weeks, and I've listened. You've kept me company marvelously well, thank you. But I did on more than one occasion. I think it might have been 3 occasions. You've all suggested turning the sound off and just enjoying the film with no sound.
No, I wouldn't advise that.
Alarm bells.
I do often. I do. I think no. I think me and Dave are much better. Much better. The video is much better when it's just audio. But I maintain that the best way to learn how to compose a shot is to turn the sound off, and that's a testament really to how important sound is, because if you turn the sound off, you don't get involved in the drama and you can look at the shots. This is I always go on about this as a single shot takes, oneers. I don't like them because if you notice, I don't like, because personally as a director, because if you notice them, it takes you out of the story. That's what I think. And I think, if you're involved in the story, you don't notice the sound, but the sound is what's involving you in the story. That's why you don't notice. And particularly, I've done a lot of stuff where the audience think they saw something, but they didn't. They heard it, and you can save an enormous amount of money on
the suggestion, the powers of suggestion with that is, and I think that again, David Lynch was a master at this, of the power of suggestion through sound, and his stuff is, to listen to alone is very unnerving. And the complementary sound, because the sound is in his work was generally very heightened and unreal, but then it went with the visuals that it was kind of surreal as well. But he would direct and he would almost direct with his eyes closed on set, because he was constantly listening, because he was a sound designer as much as he was like the vision, but he was the total artist.
Wow.
But the levels of importance that he applied to sound design and the placement of mics, the stuff on the recording, which you can see of the recording of the return to Twin Peaks, and him placing that, because he says, I want the sound to travel from there and be picked up on those mics there. He knew exactly what he wanted, and the power of the sonics, the actual choreography of sonic.
I like
people,
that.
And that's a beautiful thing to work with.
Absolutely. God, I wish I could have worked with him. It sounds amazing. Cut to other directors who don't ever put headphones on. They couldn't care less. An aeroplane can go over and they say, yeah, okay, fine, moving on. You're like, I couldn't hear the dialogue. And you're okay to move on. And they look at you like you are, less than an insignificant. It is hard. It is hard. It can be very hard getting on with certain directors, shall we say?
I can't imagine you not getting on with anyone, Sam.
That's nice, I suppose, to say, but no, I mean, it's just I'm specifically talking about disregard for sound, and people just get so hooked up with the visuals, and it's just you have to remind them sometimes. I mean, literally, people will be high-fiving, yeah, we got it, and like, sorry,
you may have, yeah.
And you feel terrible just pointing it out. You can fall into a trap, and I worked with quite a few recordists over the years who did this, where you only ever heard from them if it was negative, because everything's okay, you don't say anything. And my ideal day, I never need to say anything to the director, because I've had a lovely time, I've got no issues, and there'll be no aeroplanes and nothing horrible, and I'll say good morning to the director, and I'll say good evening to the director when we go home. And we realise we haven't spoken all day, and that's fine. But other sound recordists I know that do just become the grumpy man and the negative force, because everybody else is there for the visuals. Let's face it, we're the only ones, along with hopefully yourself, Dan, and the producers obviously who are concerned by post-production budgets, ADR, etc., that care about sound. Everyone else is there for the pictures.
I think also sometimes even if you can fix it in post, you need to
And there you go. You see, that's the phrase. That's the killer phrase. Everybody is under this, that all these miracles can, just fix it in the post. Just that word. It's not we, it's you.
Yeah.
And you will be fixing it in the post. And that the time spent and the budget assigned to fix it in the post is never a consideration. That it's extra time. Of course, there will always be some contingencies, but fix it in the we'll fix it in the post is just, and given that people do assume that with the development of the technology that anything can now be done, anything can be forensically grabbed out of a frequency wave and just brought forward, because they know that it can be done, means that applies to all the productions that you're ever going to work on.
Yeah.
And just fix it in the post is just absolute insanity. Horrible.
I know recorders have lost, the next series because the post-production's been too expensive, too much ADR, and they've pointed out all of the ramifications, and they've been met with that exact answer: "We'll fix it. Don't worry, we'll fix it." And then they get the bill, and sorry, mate, we spent too much on the ADR. We don't want you back for series 2, and that's not through no fault of their own. They've lost out on massive incomes. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Fix it in post. I mean, I think obviously we can, and an awful lot of things can be fixed in post, and thank goodness, from my point of view, I haven't got to quite worry as much as possibly we used to, because so much can be fixed. But personally, I always think I can always spot a bit of ADR, and it always takes me out of the moment, and I think is detrimental to the performances, really.
You know what?
But you see, you're speaking then as a consumer. Of a professional consumer, of being able to, because it was one of the reasons why I can't bring myself to watch anything. There are a few exceptions. Is that I got to the point, and I had this with theatre, is that I only saw process. I never saw end result. And so I was always out of it. So no, watching things, listening things, a lot less so. I'm much more concerned with audio and listening to things than I am with watching things anymore. Because if you've done visual for the end of the day, last thing you want to do is really see any more of it. There are exceptions, of course, and I'm being a bit facetious. But it's hard, It's hard. It's hard. Sorry, Dan, you were going to.
No, I think moving on to, I don't know whether you want to talk about this. So you don't have to if you don't want to, Tam, but we can be discreet. Unfortunately, you've just come off a job, haven't you? You cancelled, which is. Do you want to explain what happened there, or?
I feel I do have to be a bit discreet about this because it's and it's we were explicitly told to not talk to press, etc. But I can say, all I can say is, we were talking earlier about the importance of good casting, weren't we, and choosing the right actor. And unfortunately, on this occasion, production was halted halfway through when allegations were made against the lead actor. The whole job has ground to a halt, and we've all been force majeured. Our contracts were out of pocket and out of work, and it was it was kind of a shudder. We're halfway through a scene, and I've never known anything like it. It suddenly, the BBC News alerts flashed up on our phones, and my goodness gracious, that was the guy I was just recording his dialogue, and he was whisked away very quickly, and we all got sent home rather early that day, and over the weekend the job, we were told, being postponed indefinitely, and I mean I felt so sorry for the director and the producers. They were really good people, and they had worked incredibly hard on a very small budget to make it happen, and it was shaping up. It was we'd been working on it for about 2 weeks, and it was we were all in agreement. This could be good, man. This is going to be a good movie. The actors were fantastic. The director was lovely. We were getting good. Everything was happy. Everyone was really happy. And now it's we wait to see what happens in the hearing, I suppose, and because that's what he's looking at, the actor, and I feel sorry for everybody, really. I mean, his career is probably not going to recover from this. I shouldn't think, rightly or wrongly, and it's it's a very sorry state of affairs.
It is.
One thing I was going to here's an argument, okay, that I wonder whether we're getting to the point now where we have to countenance separating the art from the artist, because, for example, very deliberately, sort of, because every statue you go past is of a monster. Usually, I mean, they usually somebody who's invaded somebody else's country, or in the past, leaders got to be leaders by killing other people, and there you get so, I mean, never meet your heroes and stuff, but I've met heroes and they've been awful people and things like that. But the thing about a film is that, or a TV show, is that if you cancel the whole thing because of one person, that's a lot of jobs going. That's livelihoods cancelled because of nothing. And I wonder whether we have to sort of come to an accommodation where, for example, currently there's this thing about, is it Bake Off, isn't it? The hosts of Bake Off. I mean, again, that's hundreds of people.
A double whammy of cancellation.
But but because of what they did, which is obviously terrible, but do we cancel the whole thing? I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about it, Tam?
Well, they've decided to go ahead, haven't they? And out of respect to all of the contestants, and I mean, it's very controversial, isn't it? The BBC obviously have walked a very, very tightrope there. I mean, it's so complicated, so multifaceted. I mean,
I also think the IP of Bake Off as well is just so massive. You can't, because people just say, "Oh, we'll just cancel the show." No, no, you can't. You can't just cancel the show.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's this one actor's unfortunate events has ruined, I mean, hundreds of people's lives in the short term, and the ramifications are huge. And it was, I mean, we couldn't possibly keep filming. There was no way. I'm sure that they spent all weekend looking into all of the possibilities, but obviously came to the conclusion that in this case it was a non-starter, and we had to stop.
But and another thing as well is that whatever the gravity of the perceived allegation is, that people who work on a production can get tired. Oh, you were involved with that, weren't you? Yeah. And it's just, and that thing can really sort of go. I mean, I had some. I did some videos a lifetime ago with some incredibly shady people, and
you were a lot of them,
and you can hear the doors slamming shut as you say yes. It's weird, and the recovery from it is it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. I think that we do have to be able to have separation. I do, between art and artist. I really do, and I always have done. I've always felt that. Just because of some of the people that you happen to work with may be involved in certain things or whatever. But of course, it depends on the nature of the certain thing or whatever. But
you always hope that these people who are people say, "Oh, have you worked with him? Is he nice?" And I go, "No, he's a good actor," But I mean, there are lots of lovely actors. I mean, I love it. It's always nice. Yeah, I'm a great diplomat. But there's always people who've just. It's really nice when you meet people who've made it and just don't have nothing. They haven't got anything to prove anymore. They're just nice. You know, they're nice. I think that I always say there's a different. There are people who demand the right sort of tea, and there are people who make the tea. You know, and there are some actors who, you know, say, you know, while they're supposed to be you know, can I get you anything or something? No, I'm supposed to get you stuff. Don't worry. You know, they can be lovely. So anyway, sorry, Tam, give us a good experience, your favorite experience of in your professional life.
Of an actor or
anything. Just give us, take it back, because you're a very positive person. Like I said, Tam, listeners and viewers, Tam goes around Penarth picking up litter in his spare time, which is.
But I've got a wonderful dog, and we walk all around the area.
The dog doesn't pick litter, does it?
No, she looks at me sort of like, why are we taking so long? Get me on the beach. But we walk on the beach a lot, and it just depresses me, the amount of rubbish. So I just started picking it up, and then met some other people, that like-minded people, and they signed me up. I'm an official litter champion now. I've done the courses. I've done the online courses. I'm really safe. I know what I can and can't pick up. And I go out with my red bag and my litter picker. It makes me feel good, actually. And I did have a big chunk of time off this year, and that's what I did instead. You know, I didn't want to be completely aimless. So while walking Winnie, we pick up rubbish. I pick up rubbish. She finds. I do find a lot of treasure too along the way. Nothing
really.
I'm dreaming of the day that I find the what is it? The whale. The whale phlegm, is it? I mean, that stuff is worth a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, verdigris, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm really looking for when I'm picking up cans and cans.
You're looking underneath rather than actually. Yeah.
One day, hopefully the karma will come back, and I'll find the phlegm.
So go on, give us a positive. What's your favourite professional experience, or a few?
I've been so lucky. I came into the industry when I was about 18, post A-level. I was doing a terrible job in London, and my father saved me. He got me. I was moaning on the phone, describing how bad the job was, and he said, "Well, I'm. Do you ever think about being a sound, in the films?" And I hadn't, never entered my mind. I mean, I'd visited him on many film sets over my childhood. He was fairly successful. He got to do some fairly big feature films. Merchant and Ivory. He made good friends with Ishmael Merchant, and he became their sound recordist. And so I was in my youth. I was around like Helena Bonham Carter and Emma Thompson and Auntie Hopkins. I met them all, and it was all. I think I was too shy to ever really think it could be for me, but cut to age 18, and he was starting a long drama series in North Wales, and I went and became his trainee, and then I became the set runner, and I just loved it. It was just such nice people, it felt like playing. It felt like I was playing with friends all day, and that just delighted me. I never for a moment imagined in my childhood that this is what I would do. Thought might be a fireman or something like that, but or a footballer. I really wanted to be a footballer, if I'm completely honest. But that obviously
you might be yet. Never give up.
No, I think those days have passed. But we travelled all around Wales on that job, and I just fell in love with Wales really, and the Welsh people. They were just so happy and fun, and TV and films. I ended up working with my dad for 5 years after that. We went all around the world. I went as far as India. That was just incredible. All around Europe, making films and TV, and it was just it charmed me so much. I mean, we've discussed the negatives, haven't we? But on the last half an hour. But the positives have always struck me as being well worth it and outweighing the negatives. Well, I mean, you work with minded people, creative people, it's always, I've made them my best friends. I've fallen in love a few times, and it's just been. I've been blessed, really. I've been really, really blessed. I think it's a wonderful profession.
Mm.
You
And I
worry
feel
me a bit because my kids, I take my kids around whenever I can. My son was a runner on the last shoot, and
they're, they're,
they
they're thinking
go
about
on.
it. They're thinking about following your
I'm
footsteps.
desperate for them not to.
And
I'm
yet,
just.
you've loved it, haven't you?
I have, yeah, but it's not easy. Is I mean, I know we're not. A colleague said to me, just leaned into me once. He said, this isn't work, is it? Down a mine, that's work. This not. We've won
Well,
the lottery, and we have won the lottery, but it is
And yet you don't want your kids.
difficult.
there's also a thing that
It's
you say
so
that,
uncertain.
Dan,
It's
is
so
that
uncertain.
actually, as kind of end result, you've won the lottery, but it takes
Yeah.
a lot of damned hard work to be able to get to that point where you think that you've won the lottery.
I agree.
My wife used to say that my job was like being sacked every day, because it's especially for example with Excalibur, you are doing something that it's not like that everyone's going, we just want someone to do, in the Welsh King Arthur bracket. We're looking for someone to do that. Well, nobody thinks it's a good idea except me. So it's terribly lonely, and you have to keep telling yourself, "Oh my God, I could be doing something much easier than this." But you've got to forge forward. And again, I get this tremendous privilege to work with lovely people like you, and to just play with swords and go to wonderful places. But it's I'm only 33, so it's taken its toll on me.
You're definitely not the only one that thinks it's a good idea to make this film, Dan.
Bless you. Thank you.
You're really not. I mean, I love that you're doing it. It's really, really exciting.
Thank you.
It's been a long.
Already, this is years in the making
Yeah.
just to get to this. It's a ridiculous. Can I ask you, Dan, where would you like to see technology go to make sound recording? What would enhance
Wow.
the position of the sound recorders in technology? Because of course we're exponentially exploding with what we can do.
Yeah.
From your point of view,
I've armoured myself with equipment that I'm quite confident will see out my career as a starting point. I mean, it's got to a point now where I've got a 34 track recorder on my trolley. It's absolutely incredible. I was watching the Beatles documentary recently, and they wheel in an 8-track.
Yeah,
and it's like this gigantic machine, and they can't believe the technological advances that they've got. This incredible bit of kit at the disposal, and I've got that times 34 on a tiny little box. It's like that big.
It's madness, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just insane.
I'm never going to need that.
Can I ask you what the model is? Sorry to be geeky.
It's a
readers.
Sennheiser Scorpio, it's called, and it's an American company that build it these days, and it's just wonderful. It's very intuitive. I mean, you do have to get used to it, but once I had it, it's changed my life from a technological point of view. I mean, my previous machine had 12 tracks I could record, and the one before that, which I used for most of my recording career, was 8-track, and that was generally enough. But as the more counts of actors needed in each scene, so the tracks go up and up and up. I would never ever want to do a show that would require 34 tracks. That sounds horrible to me. Give me a lovely 2-hander any day. But
I remember the Ewer at the BBC, and it was like an oven, and you'd have the two reels that you'd spin and cut with a razor, and then the digital started to come in, and Sadies and Pro Tools and stuff, and people are going, "Oh God!" And then there was a portable one, and everyone's going, "Wow, a portable!" And it was like a fridge itself. the advancement, it's insane. The technology that now it's on your phone.
So a bit smaller and lighter. That,
Yes.
from my point of view, that's a huge benefit because again, when we're filming up a mountain and I'm putting all the kids up there, and it's really hurting, you want everything to be a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Again, going back to radio mics, we keep seeming to return to this, but I mean, the smaller the pack, so basically, it's a cigarette pack. It's a small cigarette pack that we have to hide. There's a smaller version, but the batteries don't last so long. So better battery life, a smaller pack so that the actors don't mind so much and costume don't mind so much. The actual cable that comes out of the transmitter to the microphone has got thinner and thinner and thinner so that it doesn't show through the T-shirt. You can have a tight T-shirt and the cable isn't seen. That's fantastic. Little innovations like that really help what we do. And the actual microphone at the end has got smaller and smaller and it sounds better and better. So that's really helped a lot. Things like that, smaller, lighter, please.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah,
well, so I think we're winding down.
We haven't spoken
in terms of quality. I mean, I don't mean we're stopping. I just mean it's getting worse. No, I'm joking. That's my hilarious self-deprecatory humour there coming in, listeners. As if we've got listeners. I'm doing it again. Self-deprecation. I'm rubbish at it. So, let's talk. How are the bees, Dave?
The bees. We have a problem in as much that the wasps are absolutely hideous, and across all of the beekeeping communities, everybody's saying, "What are we going to do?" I went to my apiary a couple of days ago, and in one of the hives had been invaded, and it was a literal swarm inside one of the hives. I had a look, and all these horrible demonic faces of wasps just looking up through the glass, because I have this glass partition, and I took it off, and it just like this column, because they only go up, and I was like in the middle of this sort of cyclone of wasps, and I was having to move them off my netting visor because I couldn't see through it, and they had absolutely savaged the one hive. There's 5 hives which are strong. I'm not concerned, but the wasps don't stop at night. They will continue through the night and through the next day. Until they wear down the defences. I've had 4 hives completely wiped out. So it's and it's thousands of pounds worth of damage for this sort of stuff, because the wasps get in. Sometimes the bees will leave, and otherwise it just becomes alien versus predator, and it's just a hive war, and it's just carnage and absolute carnage. So it's quite tiring. I went up just for a look, and you 2-3 hours there trying to just sort out kind of problems. Yeah. Ultimately, and my bee mentor always says, we are shepherds. The bees will do what they're going to do. We can help guide. But I do feel that there's I've taken this on, so there is a position of responsibility about the whole thing. And so I'm trying to do the best for the bees, not just go on then, wasps, But on the plus side, the hornets have gone. They're not involved in the conflict anymore, but the hornets can't get in because the holes are too small. But it's an interesting season this year. But it's across the board. All of the beekeepers I know are just saying the wasps have never been this bad in history for just the amount and the aggression. They're really aggressive this year. They're horrible.
My father is a beekeeper also. I've been going through this. He's going through exactly the same as you. Is beyond. He's never known anything like it. He's managed to find four wasp nests, and he's a pacifist and doesn't want to kill anything. But he's had to dispose of these nests. It's really tricky. But
it is. I can't find the nests. I know I've been there, and I've been there with my flamethrower. Right, and because that's how you get rid of it. Because I say that I do ethical beekeeping, which I do. I don't go down the chemical routes or anything. And it's not about, for me, it's not about the honey. It's about the bees and the beekeeping. It's not about some sort of honey puppy farm of bees. You have to have a relationship with the bees. You work with them. Your reward, if you're lucky, is at the end of the season, there will be enough that the bees do not need for you to be able to siphon a bit off. And that's the reward for getting through the season. And that's how I see it. But wasps, I don't like killing anything. I don't. I really,
I don't
really
mind killing a wasp. I really don't.
But
on that bombshell, I'm being called away.
Okay, yeah, okay. Be called.
I'm sorry to. It's been really fantastic chatting with you, Tam. It's really,
yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Lovely.
Yeah, I hope you'll come on again, and I hope we get to work together soon.
Yeah, that'd be good. And because there's quite a few questions I'd like to ask in another one about the process, and I think that the readers would too. So,
oh man, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, our readers. Yeah, thanks a lot, Tam. So I'll sign off by saying I'm Dan Freeman, the writer and director of Excalibur, the Welsh fantasy feature film. On the other end is Dr. Dave Polser, the production designer. Say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.
And our special guest has been Tam Shoring, sound mixer, sound recordist, and general good egg and litter picker.
Thank you.
So thanks again. Thanks, Tam. And we'll see you on the next episode.